talk about checklists. We're here with Ken Lee, and tell me, Ken, do you use a checklist and
Oh,
why?
definitely. It's sometimes you get complacent, and without a checklist, you may miss a few things, and that's what's gonna get you in trouble in the air. So, I have here on my iPhone for my Trinidad here. I got a checklist that I go through before I take off, pre-flight inspections and so forth. You look at here before starting engine, when engine hot, cold, the whole thing. Just go through it. I use this every day, and now I use this as well for my RC stuff before I take off.
I think we all get a little complacent. Can you remember a time where you forgot something on the checklist?
Yeah. I forgot to turn the fuel on.
That's not a good thing for takeoff.
No, the good thing's on the ground, and I keep running the engine, and there's no fuel, so I burnt the starter. So, but luckily that was on the ground, so from now on.
Yeah, good thing it didn't happen on takeoff. So,
I mean, the engine wouldn't have started, but I didn't go through. I just sat there and I just cranked the heck out of the plane and realized I didn't turn on the fuel.
That's not too bad. How about forgetting flaps on takeoff? Have you ever done that?
No. So that's pretty routine now, so it's just like muscle memory almost. But other stuff in the air, like when you have an emergency or so forth, your mind could be overwhelmed with the situation, and if you don't go through your checklist of emergency part of the airplane, and with the checklist it's helped quite a bit.
So commercial pilots also, I mean, they go through a whole checklist to set their switches, flaps, all that. And can you relate that to RC turbine flyers? Would you recommend them using some type of checklist?
Like a lot of times, sometimes with the older system where you have to put air into the retract and so forth, and we forgot to pump up the air and we take off. Even with the electric, I forgot to turn on my battery switch to turn on the brake system, and I couldn't retract my landing gear, and that works the brakes as well. And luckily at the dry lake, we didn't need brake, but had it been anywhere else,
it would have been
I would have trashed the plane.
So it happens to everybody. So I guess don't get complacent.
No,
not a bad idea to use a checklist.
That's right.
Hi pilots, this is Jeff from GlobalJet.club, and let's talk about checklists. How many of you have gone to the field to fly RC, forgot to put a spar in the wing, forgot to charge your batteries, maybe forgot to set your flaps for takeoff? These are the kind of things that if you get complacent can get you in trouble. So today's episode is about checklists and their importance. As you saw from Ken, he uses a checklist. Commercial pilots use a checklist. People use checklists in everyday life for a lot of things. I use a checklist myself. With 100 flights on my Super Viper, I have a checklist for setup, engine start, and shutdown. I'll go over my engine start checklist for you real quick, and you can tailor this for your jet. Engine cover off. That's important during startup in case you have a hot start, especially with composite or foam jets. You want to make sure that that's going correct. Your overflow tanks hooked up, your fuel valves on. We go to start by pulling our throttle back and forward on most of our jets. I let it run up. I watch data terminal. I check my temperature. I check my pump values, because when they start changing, that can indicate a clogged filter. You want to keep an eye on that. I remove the data terminal. I put the cover back on, canopy back on. I check that fuel valve again one more time, and then I do a brake check and make sure the flaps are set again for takeoff. These checklists are important. The one time you forget something, you can get into trouble. I've actually taken off without flaps. I've had problems with steering not working properly. Everybody that flies RC has forgotten something. Batteries, or your transmitter not charged properly, or not putting a spar in your wing. I've seen that a few times. All kind of things can go wrong. The checklist will keep you out of trouble and allow you to check the things that are important prior to takeoff. Listen to your aircraft. Sometimes if you see the controls making a little sound or a buzz or a clicking noise, something's going on. And we all know that a little 50-cent part can cause an aircraft to go down. A cracked hinge, a cracked control rod, or something like that. So pay attention to these things, because that aircraft does talk to you. And some of you that have been around this hobby for a while know what I'm talking about. So until next time, be consistent, be safe, and go vertical, baby. We'll see you out on the flight line.